Hello, beautiful people. I'm Mariquita Solis, and I'm here with Angel, a yummy vegan, and we've got a great topic for you all today. Something that is going to blow the tops off the buildings here. I know, and make and just be sometimes kind of shake that anger inside of ourselves. So, we're going to be talking about radical forgiveness. So, if you're joining us live, please make sure you give StreamYard permission to use your name. So, we'd like to see your comments, and if you have questions. And um, what else? So I'm a vegan empowerment coach. Let me say that to help people that are struggling. So I spend a lot of time talking about forgiveness, and so I've reached out to Angel, this expert, and she's been really in the vegan field for a long time, and it was her wonderful idea to talk about this. So I am so excited to talk about radical forgiveness. So Angel, tell our viewers about you and your vegan journey, please.
Thank you, Mariquita. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to connect with you and to all of your viewers here, all of our guests. So, I'm Angel, also known as a Yummy Vegan. My vegan journey officially started 4 years ago. I was on a yoga trip in Budapest, Hungary, at a yoga workshop. And, I was mingling with all of the other yogis there, and I met a woman who is a vegetarian. And so people got to know, that I was also vegetarian, pescatarian. And she took me to a vegan restaurant in Budapest. And I was blown away that I didn't have to order a special meal with no dairy because I'm lactose intolerant, like two-thirds of the global human population, which I personally feel is because we're not supposed to be even consuming that content. And I'm also very averse to eggs. They make my stomach do somersaults. And I had eliminated, like what we call meat 20 plus years prior for health reasons. So I was identifying myself as a vegetarian, pescatarian, and I was thrilled that I didn't have to order a special meal at this restaurant. And they made basically like local Hungarian dishes veganized. And I was just so thrilled. The meal was yummy. And I started to Google after that, oh my gosh, vegan restaurant. And I found another one in Budapest, Hungary. And I went there and had amazing vegan food. And I said, that's it. I have to figure this out. Because up until that point, I was really in my own little bubble. I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on around me. I might have heard about veganism at some point, but I really just wasn't connected. And so this was such an awakening for me. At the beginning, technically, I guess I was plant-based because I didn't really understand that veganism is an entire lifestyle. And so then I started to discover, oh my gosh, they're vegan skin products, and oh my gosh, wool is not vegan and silk is not vegan, etc. So it was a journey for me, a very beautiful journey. And so, yeah, that's really how it started, Mariquita.
Well, that's beautiful. And I love the way you said that you started out as plant-based, because I know I hear a lot of people saying, well, plant-based, that's not good enough. But a starting point. Let's welcome all of the little steps to the end, and we never know what the end will be. So that's beautiful. And so tell me about your Instagram a little bit,
Sure.
because you're really big on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I like Instagram. So, my presence on Instagram is under the name A Yummy Vegan, and I started that in 2018. And my mission at the time was really to prove to myself and to share with others that we can thrive as vegans even when we're traveling. And I was lucky enough to be traveling quite a bit. I considered myself a yoga tourist and a foodie and an art lover. And so those three passions took me to different places around the world. And I was so, lucky to enjoy beautifully yummy vegan food. And I wanted to share it with everybody else and share how I was navigating my travels, and still thriving on, focusing on the diet aspect of the lifestyle. And so then, over the years, I expanded into doing Instagram lives. And so I've done over 100 Instagram lives. I have completed 120, in fact, Instagram lives with people from all over the world, including Mariquita. So I was very, very happy to have a conversation recently with Mariquita. It's up there on Instagram, and it's also over on YouTube on my page, A Yummy Vegan, over there on YouTube. So and then of course I try to also share like some of the new happenings in the vegan world, different research that comes out, different products, and also I love focusing on the raw vegan lifestyle, so really thriving on fruits and vegetables, herbs and spices, a sprinkling of nuts and seeds here and there. And so yeah, I try to mix it up. I throw in, of course, a lot of the animal advocacy in there, as well as planetary advocacy, and of course human health.
Wow, I know you're very well rounded and very knowledgeable. So that's wonderful. Give me an example of someone that you've that has changed. I mean, switched to veganism because of you.
Yes, I've had several people, particularly over on Clubhouse. So I am also quite, active over on Clubhouse. And I've had people, say to me that they've been really inspired by me, that they just kind of, went little by little. They start eliminating the dairy. They watch the documentaries. I have a lot of links on my website, that is ayummyveganlifestyle.com, and over there I give a lot of nutrition information, documentary links, articles, recipes from creators all over the world. And I've had people tell me, oh my gosh, Angel, your links were so helpful. Now I'm convinced. Now I know that this isn't good for me, for the animals, or the planet. And I've had people, also tell me that they've been inspired to eat more raw vegan, because they just feel better, and they're discovering that it is possible. Not to say that we're going to be raw vegan 100% of the time. However, yeah, I've had people just on Monday of this week. So like 3 days ago, I had someone saying, over on Clubhouse, how inspired she was by me. So I felt really gratified by that.
Yeah, and that's a great place to sit in, So I mean, sitting in that positivity of how you're changing the world. And I love, I mean, I love your energy, and I'm sure all your viewers just really, I mean, you're really attracting them with that beautiful energy. It's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had people tell me that, or like they'll write to me and say this or that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't really, notice it. I have some relatives also who went plant forward. They are eating plants most days of the week. And, as we'll discuss in a while, I'm sure, it is quite difficult to give up what we've been accustomed to doing for, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. It's quite challenging. However, again, I'm grateful that they're making changes for themselves, the animals, and the planet.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Sitting in gratitude again, right? Yeah. Well, oh, y'all, everyone here, thanks for watching. And again, let us know in your comments. You know what? I would like to start off this talk, because we're going to be talking about radical forgiveness. So if it's okay with you, Angel, I want to start off with a little centering meditation, just a little 2 minute, if you feel like it. So let's go, everyone. Get in a quiet place as much as you can. And let's close our eyes. And let's just be thankful for this moment. We're going to be opening up to new awareness, allowing answers and allowing new thoughts to flow in on a deeper level. Just breathing deep down into our hips and down into our feet. Really connecting with Mother Earth, knowing that all the living beings are standing here with us. They're sending us love, their wisdom and their strength. It's all flowing into our hearts right now. they're together with us and they're giving thanks for us because they know that we're working for their best life, and they're sitting in gratitude and we sit in gratitude for them. We're sending that love back into their hearts right now, and it's a beautiful warmth, a beautiful feeling surrounding us, knowing that we are surrounded by all of the universe, knowing that the universe loves us, knowing that we're perfectly imperfect, and that is beautiful, that we are on this journey of life, and that we are so blessed, and that our job is to love ourselves and to give compassion to ourselves first, and then to send compassion out to the rest of the world. So we're sitting in this loving space today, opening up, not needing to know any answers, just bringing in new awareness like never before on this infinite level. And so we're giving thanks and saying yes, and so it is, and so it shall be. So whenever you feel like it, you may open your eyes.
That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. So I'm an earth sign for anyone who believes in that. I just recently started to believe in it. Before I used to think that was woo woo, to be honest. Yeah, people feel free to write me about that. However, yeah, and you know, my root chakra, I've been working on my root chakra for years. And so when you were like grounding in your hips and the feet into the ground, it's like, yes, yes. Love it.
Well, thank
And
you.
of
I
course
love
the
it too.
animals. Yes. And of course the animals. I love that.
Yes, because Mother Earth and the universe and the animals, they are all here with us now, you know? So when we feel like we're isolated, just get back in that heart space and send that love out to the animals. Say, I love you. You know, I love you, Angel, for what you're doing, right? I love all the people that are here watching. And I'm just so thankful. And I'm going to shift that sadness and just love the sadness, though. You know, I'm thankful that I feel that sadness because I know that shows what a compassionate heart I have, right? So it's beautiful.
I agree. And Mariquita, I want to applaud you for putting like Mother Earth in the name of your Facebook group. I think it's so powerful.
Thank you. I love it. I mean, I love to be able to become more aware because I wasn't so much aware of that. You know, the power of Mother Earth standing behind us. When we get in, you know, when we know that she's with us, think about the unlimited potential, right?
I
And she
agree.
loves us. She's giving us the sun and the rain and the moon. We don't have to ask her for that. She's giving it freely. So what a blessing.
I agree. And you know, it makes me connect to the topic of today, which is radical forgiveness, because you know, I think of my beloved mother, bless her soul, and how forgiving she was, no matter how naughty I was, you know, at whatever age that might have been along my journey. You know, just that unconditional love, just that, you know, unconditional forgiveness, the constant you know, compassion and embracing and you know, just acceptance. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely see all of those connections, and I know we'll get a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah, well, when you bring up mothers, that's very interesting because Mother's Day just passed and talking about radical forgiveness. I mean, I know that some people have really been struggling and look, is calling their mothers horrible. You know, some vegans that their mothers are not vegan. My mother was not vegan and she was beautiful. Thanks to my mother, I am who I am today, right? I am a vegan thanks to her because of her compassion. She just didn't have the, you know, she just didn't understand, you know, really because she was brought up in a different time. So that's what I want to talk about now, the different time period and about forgiveness. What do you say? I mean, is your mother vegan or your family members vegan?
No, so I no longer have my parents.
Mhm.
They were not vegan, so I was raised on the standard diet. I have older relatives, they have gone, plant forward. I can see that they're really, really trying to be open-minded. They're embracing the journey. They are seeing so many health benefits, not only physically, emotionally as well. One of them even expressed a type of a spiritual shift that she's been feeling. So yes, I can say that I've seen progression, but yeah, but it is challenging. And along my vegan journey, what I was doing when I first, well, I guess in my first year or so, I was maybe a little bit of what we sometimes consider an angry vegan, because I was really, really focused on the animals and, oh my gosh, don't people understand all of this suffering? And I had to observe myself and realize that, obviously I was not always vegan. I didn't understand, what was happening. Even when I was vegetarian, pescatarian, I didn't even understand what was happening with the chickens, the baby chickens, and even the mother chickens, the females. I didn't understand what was happening with the cows, the sheep, and the goats in the dairy industry. So I had to really observe, and I think my yoga practices help with that, to be in the seat of the observer. And that's when I had to start to like forgive myself for not, first of all, going vegan before, not being awakened and aware and enlightened before. And then that forgiveness of myself was easier to pass on to others who are, at various points on their journey. So for example, I had to really tap into how forgiveness is a practice of letting go, of equanimity, of non-attachment, as we learn, in our yoga practice, having no expectations. Because I felt like, I had all these expectations of people who would come to me for coaching, or even people in my family. Well, I've given them all this information and I'm living the life as an example, and they're still not changing, and so that those expectations were causing me suffering. And I had to realize that, I had to let go, and I had to let live, and love, and let live, and let them go at their own pace. And in our society, we're dealing with so many attachments and marketing and advertising and all this propaganda and misinformation. We need to consume animals for protein and calcium and iron. And I've had several people, who've switched over to the vegan side, who've told me that their iron levels have improved by eating plants. So I know that this is just a myth. I know that it's misinformation, and that takes me to, a part of my forgiveness, which was, yes, forgiving myself for not going vegan sooner. So that's where it all started. But also forgiving people who are not yet vegan. I learned the phrase or the word pregan or pre-vegan. And I really consider everyone who's not yet vegan to be a pregan or a pre-vegan. I truly believe that we were born, all of us were born vegan. In other words, we were born and designed, I feel, to thrive on plants versus, an animal-based diet and lifestyle. And that takes me back to like forgiveness of the people who are in like the big animal agriculture industry for perpetuating the breeding and feeding of animals to humans. I had to really understand that. A lot of them are in this for financial reasons, or for belief systems that they have, that they are providing a food source to humans. I've heard people firsthand with my own ears. I've heard farmers, who we would call like cattle ranchers and people in the animal agriculture industry. They actually believe that they are providing a food source for the food pyramid. They really, really believe this. And so, I basically had to, step back and just again practice that compassion, observing and forgiving for, the misinformation that they're spreading and the misinformation that they received. Also extending that forgiveness and compassion to the animal agriculture, workers who are suffering tremendously, physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. They're working under terrible conditions sometimes, quite inhumane, in terms of like not having breaks to even, go to the bathroom. Also the stress and the strain, the psychological and emotional strain they're suffering when they are called upon to inflict harm upon the animals in these, factory farming settings. I watched a documentary recently as a part of a conference. It's called Milked, and it's based over in New Zealand. And they spoke about how the manager was forcing the employee to inflict harm upon the animals, and the employee didn't want to do it. And she refused to do it. And it created tremendous strain and strife on the job because she just didn't want to do it. And I've also learned along my journey that many workers in these settings are very traumatized. They suffer tremendous damage to the point of even wanting to end their own lives. They seem to be trapped in a vicious cycle of low paid, very, very treacherous, dangerous jobs. And so, yes, I really had to step back and, practice forgiveness for them, because yes, they are playing a part in this, but some of them feel trapped even economically. Some of them feel like they cannot get jobs anywhere else, despite all of the downsides of having these jobs. And I also watched a documentary, a part of the Vegan Film Festival, the International Vegan Film Festival. I watched that in 2020. And there was a really powerful documentary about the lab workers who, they're doing a lot of animal testing. And I didn't even realize that, of course, the animals are suffering physically and psychologically as well. And the lab workers are also suffering from having to inflict harm upon these animals in that setting. And there were like 4 women who left their profession, and they started to actually advocate for the animals. And it was so revealing just to understand, that yes, they seem to be trapped as well. They're doing this as a part of their educational degrees. They're getting these advanced degrees in research, and that's a part of, their requirements, I guess, to do this. Forgiveness towards big business for profiting from those unhealthy standard diet and lifestyle products that are created, at the detriment of animals. And also, I had to really think back to like my parents. You asked about my parents before, and how, I really had to extend forgiveness to them because they didn't even know any better. They were also brought up on the standard diet. They were told that we needed to consume animals for our health. And so all this misinformation, my parents just really didn't know any better. And so I really felt like I had to extend forgiveness to them, even to the media for profiting and propagating, this misinformation, because they're earning money from it, from all of the advertising. I hear people saying, they went to a medical professional, a health professional, and they were told they have to go back and start consuming, animal content. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so like I have to now extend forgiveness to the health professionals because, their lack of education and misguided information is like perpetuating this cycle. And along my coaching journey as well, I would sometimes feel frustration, to be honest with you, that I was pouring into certain people and they just, they were just so reticent to move off of the standard lifestyle because that's just what they're used to, or their family's going to make fun of them, et cetera, et cetera. And I really had to, extend that compassion and forgiveness to them. At some points I was like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting my time, they're not taking this in. And then I had to start, extending forgiveness to them as well, because they're doing the best they can. It's just very, very difficult to I guess, step away from certain practices that they've had for decades, for their entire lives up until that point. And sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, this is going in one ear and out the other. But that's just the way it is. Um, I talked about, family earlier on, friends, who are just not joining, they're just not getting on board. And, there're just so many cravings and I learned too, like even the ego plays such a part. I heard someone say, I'm not giving up my bacon, I'm not giving up my fish. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is not even their bacon or fish, like, but that's how they're thinking. And I have someone in my inner circle who likes to like mock me for
Yes.
what I eat and everything. And I just basically, like you're saying, I just practice, well, that's where she is at this point in time. And she, I have to forgive her as well, even though she's hurting my feelings. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but yeah. And I'll just kind of give a couple more examples and then I'll pause. But I was a vegetarian pescatarian for over 20 years. And like I said, I was in my own little bubble. And sometimes along my vegan journey, I was like, oh my gosh, but, vegetarians and pescatarians are so close, they just have, if they could um, give up dairy, eggs, and what we call seafood, they could do this, they could do this. And then I had to realize, well, Angel, that's where they are, and that's where I was for all those years. So then I had to kind of I guess take my foot off the brakes there too, off the gas there too, and kind of pause it and put my foot on the brakes and practice forgiveness and understanding, because that's where they are. And going to the supermarket and seeing like the butchers there, serving up that flesh. And I'm like, well, Angel, you have to forgive them too, that's just where they are. And there's a famous vegan. He was a butcher before, and he speaks about that. How he was a butcher, and now he's a world famous vegan. He's making documentaries, writing a book, creating companies, et cetera, et cetera. The other day, I interviewed a former hunter who is a vegan advocate now, and who is rescuing animals, and who is spreading the word globally. I mean, like imagine, like if I were to say, well, no, I can't forgive butchers, I can't forgive, hunters. I mean, look at what could happen. And finally, I'll just say, and of course I'll hand it back to you, Mariquita. I'll say, for me also, like forgiving people is really beneficial for myself as well, because then I'm not holding on to all of this these like really difficult emotions. And also I've heard this phrase, something along the lines of perfectionism is a thief of joy, and none of us is perfect. And so if I were to hold everybody to that standard, that impossible standard, then I would basically be stealing my joy and their joy. So yeah, I'll just pause there, Mariquita. Thank you.
Well, you've touched on a lot of powerful things here. And that's very true. I mean, that's one reason that, like, when I start off the coaching sessions, like I'm saying, that we're perfectly imperfect, right? There is no perfect, and that is just a beautiful place to be in, because learning the lessons of life, right? And so who are we to judge again? And I get pushed back too, and people hate me also. I mean, and I have to forgive them. And it's hard sometimes when my feelings are so hurt. I think, it's natural to want to lash out and say, stop attacking me. Right. But then if I can just see underneath the attack is hurt, because people that are hurting hurt other people, and people that are healed heal other people. So I have done a lot of work on healing myself. And that's what we were talking about, starting with healing yourself, starting with forgiveness for yourself and compassion for yourself. And so I've spent years healing myself for all the horrible things I did to myself and torturing myself with horrible language, right? Thinking that I was a nobody and I'm not worthy. And, I was just basting in this hatred for myself. And finally, I mean, when you're just cooking, and seeping in that hatred, no, I mean, something's got to give. So what it did was I said, okay, that's it. No more. I'm going to get out of this horrible situation that I've created for myself, wanting to blame everybody else and saying, I hate these people because they are causing me this awful life. But in reality, it was me that was not honoring who I was. And so that was a long process of years to start really honoring myself and learning to forgive myself for that hatred. And so, again, the more I can forgive myself, the easier it is for me to see other people and forgive them, because I sure as heck was not perfect. I'm not perfect now. And who am I to judge other people? I mean, I'm a person doing the best I can. I'm not, I mean, it's very important to stay humble. And I attacked other people in my lifetime. So, who am I to, what I've learned is not to attack back, and who am I to say, oh, I'm better than that? When in reality, I attacked myself so much. I'm a great attacker, right? So I didn't need people to attack me because I've done it before and I used to do it every single day. So what you're saying is so relevant here. And what about, let's say that your friends, like for example, friends that make fun, and how do you forgive them, that they don't realize how much they're hurting you? And what is the solution here? We're having we go over to a friend's house and they're saying, oh, well, gosh, look at you bringing your healthy stuff, or you're bringing your da 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 da, right? And making fun and saying, just little snide remarks. Now, what's the best way to handle that situation inside, and then with them? I mean, what's the best way to communicate with them, but also where you're feeling strong enough in yourself that you're not going to be, let this ruin your day? What do you recommend, Angel, here?
Yeah, gosh, that's a big question. And I typically, kind of laugh it off. Number one. Number two, I just tell them how great I feel. I just feel so awesome. And I remember even when I was vegetarian, pescatarian, and although I was, labeling myself as that, I had ditched most seafood because I had read that there was a lot of mercury in the water, and it just really wasn't recommended to eat seafood, more than a few times a week. And I thought, well, gosh, if they're recommending that, then why am I eating? you know? And so then I somehow had convinced myself that the healthiest, fish was going to be wild salmon because it was wild. And so, of course, that means it didn't have toxins. So, of course, that would be the best choice. But again, I had ditched most dairy because it would just make my stomach do somersaults. And I must admit, when I was vegetarian, it was much easier for me to give in and cave with all the mocking and poking that I was getting from a certain set of people. And so, yeah, I would just kind of give in and eat the cheese, for example, and of course suffer the consequences after. But honestly now, because people know that I am like so deep into my vegan philosophy. Yes, I do get teased. Not long ago, I was teased for, oh yeah, well, someone was saying how, like, oh my gosh, like you're always eating these smoothies and nuts. And I'm thinking, well, what in my mind, I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? Like they're yummy. And so I think it just could go either way. I mean, I just try to make it really light. I share what I do too, and this has worked, is I share all these beautiful photos and recipes of vegan food. And then the one person who's super tough, she wrote back to me and she's like, oh my gosh, plant-based vegan recipes are so creative. And I was like, yes, we're getting some points here, and so then that kind of softens it a bit. And then they're more receptive because while for me, a lot of it has to do with the animals, I understand not everybody is going to, come from that angle. I've had people tell me that they don't even like feel a connection to animals, which was shocking to me, but I had to realize, well, that was just the way it is. And, I've had people tell me they went vegan for the planet. And I'm like, the planet? Like, how did we skip over the animals? Like, can we please backtrack to the animals here? But for them, they will clearly tell you that their rationale was to save the planet. And I'm like, wow, that's quite interesting. Well, that's good to know. But yeah, I mean, I think it just really goes back to meeting them where they are. If they're going to poke fun at me because I'm eating smoothies and nuts, well, I just kind of laugh it off, to be honest with you. And then I share information. I just keep sharing and sharing. With some people, I can share documentaries because they're more open to it. And then that open, I think it goes back to also like knowledge is power. And the other day, for example, this famous actor is protesting the Starbucks vegan milk surcharge.
Oh,
So
I saw that.
And so like I'm sharing that on my personal social media, and like one person who is plant forward now, like she reacted in a great way to that. And it's like, okay, so yeah, we're chipping away here. We're chipping away at this, and it's just like little by little, to be honest. But I know that everyone is not ready to like hear the truth or to watch some of these super difficult documentaries like Earthlings and Dominion, etc. That would really, I think, like throw them to a point where they might have difficulty like actually handling it. So yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. The other day, it was so interesting on Twitter. One woman's responded to one of my tweets, and she's like, oh yeah, I really want to give up fish. That's the last thing. Can you please tell me something that will make me give up fish? And I asked her if she'd seen the documentary Seaspiracy.
Uh-huh.
And she said, no. She wrote back, no, but I'm going to go watch it. A few hours later, she wrote back on Twitter, oh my gosh, I just saw it. That's it. I am giving up seafood. That's it. I cannot believe that all of this information was hidden from me all these years. And I thought, wow, like that's super awesome. So, of course, I was thrilled and I wrote back to her and everything. But yeah, I think a lot of it is just knowledge and power. Knowledge is power.
I love that story because the key thing, well, one of the key things was she was ready, right? And you didn't have to get her. She was watching, and you were planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds. And she said, help me, right? And instead of saying, well, it's easy to give up fish, right? What do you mean? You had the tool for her right there. And you weren't forcing it down her throat. You were very patient. I'm here whenever you want any information. Here it is. And focused on the people that are ready and not like going at the ones that are not ready. So, yeah. And the ones that aren't ready, I mean, there's a reason they're not ready. Instead of being angry and hating them, not, I mean, it's almost like they don't need forgiveness because they're on the journey, right? These are people just on the journey. you know I was thinking about like some that were very hard to forgive would be the ones that, let's just say, the factory farm worker that says that laughs it off and says that animals are worth, they don't have souls, who cares, and then they take pride, the people that take pride in jabbing at you and saying, I'm going to eat more animals because of you. So how do we forgive those people? I mean, what's happening there with them, that they're so defensive and that they're feeling like the factory farm worker that's slaughtering the animals every day and says, I don't care about these animals. What's really going on here, and how can we forgive that?
Yeah. This reminds me of a quote from the Bible that says basically, I'll just say what the quote says, because I prepared some quotes to share probably near the end, and I'll insert this one now. I think it's appropriate, and the quote is, Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." So I think some people are just not aware. I also think some people, there was there is a social media post that went live around yesterday, and I shared it on Instagram through my stories, and basically it was about a man who was saying that, well, humans suffer just as much as animals. And so he was equating the suffering of humans who didn't ask to be born with the suffering of animals in the animal factory farming industry. In his mind, that's where he is. He is suffering. He
Mm.
perceives the human experience as an experience of suffering. Therefore, who am I to tell him that he needs to move out of his space and energy of suffering and to observe and recognize and appreciate the suffering of the non human animals? He is already hurting. He is so deep in his human experience of suffering that he is really not in a space to appreciate
To see.
that, right, that a cow, a sheep, a goat, a pig, a chicken is, is also suffering at the hands of humans. Like, he is just not in that space.
You're right. I mean, it's like Hitler, I mean, Hitler, I mean, we all know about Hitler, right? And what happened to him to cause him to be able to do that? I mean, the abuse as a child, if you go back and read about how he was just severely abused. And that's what, I mean, it's shutting down your compassion because, I mean, that's a trauma response, right? And these people that have been so hurt and they're shutting down. So then, yes, I mean, those would be someone that could go work in the factory farms and could laugh, but really they're just so hurt, like the gentleman you were talking about inside, that they can't even grasp it because they've shut down their soul. I mean, they've shut down their heart, they've shut down connection between other living beings. I mean, and what a tremendously horrible place that would be. I mean, to look at Hitler, right? To be able to forgive him and to see that his pain was so great that he had no way to live in peace, that in order for his life to be joyful, that he had to do these heinous things to other people. And the same way for the people in the factory farms, that really are getting some, or saying that they get joy out of it. And I mean, how that's inexplicable except for the pain that they're suffering. And that's why I can forgive them. I can forgive Hitler because of what he went through as a child, that his life led him to this. And like my well, I see some comments. Thank you for your ladies enjoying the talk and inspiration. Thank you for watching. Yeah, my grandfather used to tell me, you're nobody's gonna love you. Nobody loves fat girls. You'll never amount to anything. So, and as a little girl, I took that on, right? So, and he really wasn't. He was my godfather, but I called him my grandfather. So, and I was always very sensitive as a child. And I really, really worked so hard for him to understand. He hated the Jews and he hated, it's very racist, right? And so I spent so much of my childhood trying to get him to understand, but he never understood. And he passed away. And I still, to this day, I'm able to forgive because his mother, as a child, his brother was a really great athlete, and his brother ended up in a swimming accident and perishing. And his mother told him, I wish it had been you that died. So that is what happened, and he had polio. So he struggled with polio his whole life, with a brace. And all that pain is what he knew, right? And so he took that pain that he learned and put it onto me. So I am able to forgive him because I see that little boy, or I see the little Hitler, the child, I see the people that are in the factory farm slaughtering the animals, and that don't know any better, and it's so sad. It's such a horrible place to be in. And I pray for their souls. I mean, I sit in, this compassion for their souls and hope that that's why I understand that being compassionate and loving is what will heal the world, not being angry. But forgiveness sets me free and it sets them free, and it's not condemning. It's not justifying what they've done,
Right,
but
right.
it's allowing me to live in peace and understanding and to get away from judgment. Again, I'm not anyone to judge.
Yeah, and Mariquita, there's this famous saying along the lines of hurt people hurt people. And I think also we are raised with a sense of speciesism, that some animals are worthy of our compassion, whom we call pets. Many of them are whom we call dogs and cats, maybe hamsters, maybe turtles. Those animals, rabbits, those animals are worthy of our compassion, our love, and protection and respect, whereas other animals are not worthy. Other animals, we are taught through speciesism, are here to serve us. They're here for us, not with us. And so there's a lot of that conditioning. I love the practice of yoga, and when I first went vegan, yes, I was, obviously still practicing yoga, and I was around a lot of people who identify as vegetarian. And again, the person who introduced me to a vegan restaurant for the first time identified as vegetarian. I'm very grateful to her for that. And at the same time, in the yoga world, there is this practice and this belief called ahimsa, nonviolence, and it is quite baffling and confusing and confounding to me that people who including myself, who believe in ahimsa, who believe in nonviolence, are still participating either on the standard diet and lifestyle and or a vegetarian, pescatarian lifestyle, which still inflicts harm upon other beings, because many people do not see non-human animals as beings. Some people don't consider they have a soul. Some people don't consider that, they're worthy of our protection and our compassion and love. So I think it goes back to, again, meeting people where they are. And it can be super duper difficult at the same time. One of the examples I'll also give is, forgiveness in general. I had to get coaching for forgiveness in my life, not necessarily related to veganism, related to past experiences that I had, where I had blamed myself for, certain experiences that I had. And through coaching and counseling, I was able to see that I was being too hard on myself. And so I think sometimes we need help to get there as well. Like sometimes we just are not able to do it by ourselves and to see it for ourselves.
Yeah, that is true. And that's what's so powerful about coaching, and that people can reach out to you and they can reach out to me if they want to take this a step further, because I have the 3-month coaching programs, and I'm not sure about yours, but I'm sure that, these are intensive programs to work with people over the big blocks to get to be free, you know. And I have one more question for you. Not one, but who knows? But I have one question that's big, and I see happening a lot. People saying that they're so angry at their partner that will not change. That they've shown them the videos, they've told them they're doing that, and it's so funny because I just watched Melanie Joy, and she was saying debating is not the way to go. Speaking from your heart, then there's no debate. So that's anyway, that's just a little snippet. But so, do you have to end your relationships with people? And is it possible to forgive your partner if you're in a 5-year relationship, 10-year relationship with someone, and you suddenly awaken to veganism? And they won't do it, or they'll say, I'm never going to do it. And just let me say, just because they say they're never going to do it, that is not necessarily true. The best thing when somebody says that is to keep your mouth shut, because that's not a receptive person. You've entered a danger zone, a counterproductive zone, if they're saying that. So they're not feeling safe. So what would you say about, these relationships of being, I'm dating someone for 10 years now and I'm going to have to end it because they will not change? What would you say to that person?
Yeah, that's very difficult. So I'm currently not in a relationship. I am single. So all the midlife vegan men, please message me. Shameless plug there. I was vegetarian pescatarian, like I said, for over 20 years. And I was in a very, very long relationship, and he was not a vegetarian pescatarian. However, for me, I was not doing it for ethical reasons. I was doing it for health reasons. So um, it did become difficult for me even to like prepare the
Mhm.
flesh of animals. However, it really again was not for ethical reasons. It was more, an aversion to blood, and I just found it to be very, very unpleasant, to be honest with you. So I can relate to that, because even in some people's minds, they identify as vegan, and they regard this only as a diet. So I'm in a lot of vegan groups on Facebook, for example, and I see a lot of the comments like what you are describing, and I also watch a lot of Instagram lives from vegan activists, and some of the audience members write that their boyfriend is not vegan. How can they get them to change? Oh my gosh, I really love him. However, I don't really know what to do. I also listened to an interview the other day, a woman who's been married to her husband for a while, and they have children. So they have somehow come to an agreement that she will raise the children as vegan.
Mhm.
Her husband has clearly said to her, and I will look up the link and send you the link after our chat here.
Yeah, post it in the comments later
Oh yeah,
for
right.
everybody.
And the husband said to the wife, he has realized that he is addicted to meat. And he told her he is not ready to give up that addiction. And I was quite frankly blown away. I have to be honest. I could not believe my ears. I mean, I know you would think I've heard it all, but no, 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 I have not heard it all. So I see, I mean, again, I see this as compassion, as meeting people where they are, being that example. Here's what I would say: be the bright light, be the example. um I cannot tell a person if they should stay with their partner or not. I don't see that as my role in life. One could say, well, it's a huge ethical divide, if they're just not on the same page ethically. And again, that is the decision of the person. So what I have seen, and if you just alluded to it, Mariquita, is that it's not because they say they'll never change that they won't change. So I'm not here to tell people to leave their partner or stay with their partner. It's an individual decision. I know that some people do end up, ending relationships because of that. One person has an awakening, the other person is not ready to change. So either, I would say, be the bright light, be the example. Like you're saying, don't force it, right? Don't force it. And it's just really how much each individual person can tolerate, quote unquote. But I'm really not in a position to tell people what to do in that instance, other than to live in their truth, live in their vegan philosophy to the best they can. Hashtag the future is vegan. And, just do the best they can. But I'm really not, in a position to tell someone what to do.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I mean, that's exactly true because they are going to have to go to sleep at night. But so what you're saying, what that guy said, I think it's very powerful about me. He's addicted. I mean, because we're talking about this is so true. The foods are so addictive with sugar and the sugar and fat, like in those chicken wings. They
Salt.
yeah, and salt. You're right. So they've been cooked first, And then at the wherever they come, and then they come in the bag, at, let's just say at the restaurant, at the chain restaurant, and then they're cooked again in fat and all this. It's very addictive. And so that's a big thing for people, you know?
Also, I want to say too, just to bring back, there are a lot of artificial flavors.
Yes.
A lot of food, there is a vegan whom I follow who inspired me so much on my journey. And she regards food on the standard diet as toys. She even says that that's not food, they're toys. And the way I interpret what she's getting at is because it's like re-engineered. It's like food science, and there are people concocting these artificial colors and flavors and textures and aromas. They really don't exist.
Right. And it's so sad and it's very addictive, right? And so it's scary to think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to eat chocolate cake again. I'm not. So my boyfriend is not vegan and he was like, I can give up everything but ice cream. I'm never going to have that wonderful ice cream again. But so, right. I mean, that's very scary for him. And people would say, how selfish or whatever, want to judge or whatever, but so my goal is to find the ice cream, right? And not argue, just stop the debate. I mean, even though it's natural for me to say, what are you talking about? Do you care more about what you want to eat than animals, and start judging him? So I need to keep my mouth shut and look for this ice cream and experiment, right? And help him because he's asking for help there, right? He's asking for help. I can do it except for this. So let me help you. And that's our job, right? When you're ready and you ask for help, just like the lady that was doing that about the fish and the
Oh, she
seafood.
was desperate. She was desperate. It's right there on Twitter. She was desperate. And I actually shared it on my Instagram page some months ago when it happened. And the thing is, I've heard some people say, like, we need, let's say, I don't know, let's say the global population is almost 8 billion humans.
Uh-huh.
I hear people say things along the lines of, well, we need, I'm just going to say 8 billion, 7 billion. We need 7, 8 billion imperfect vegans rather than 1 million perfect vegans. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
if a person is attached to food X and they feel like they just cannot give it up, well, okay, maybe we're not going to get them off of food. Well, they're not going to get themselves
Yeah.
off of food X for the moment. However, there's so much more they can do. Again, this goes beyond diet. For me, this is a full lifestyle. Next time a person goes shopping for beauty care, skin care, clothing, hair care, they're going to decide if they're going to a zoo or they're going to, go on a safari or go to the desert. Please don't ride the camels. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
so many ways that we can support a vegan, cruelty-free, sustainable lifestyle, um, beyond the plate, in other words. So, and the good news is that there are more and more plant-based vegan options out there on the diet side as well as the lifestyle side. So yeah, that's what I would say. Oh, we have a comment. Try Oatly vegan ice cream, banana ice cream for the win. Yes, ice cream. Make your own ice cream at home.
And that's what he said. I'm going to have to learn how to make my own ice cream. So that's what I should do is like, he suggested it. So that's when it's the most powerful, when people come to their own idea. So, have him over and say, today we're going to make ice cream and let's just test it out. Let's try making ice cream maybe every weekend or something, and just keep going till we've created all sorts of fun stuff. And what a great way to bond as a couple, and how can I support you for this, and if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. I'm going to tape my mouth shut. So
Yeah, no, and the good news is, I mean, nice cream, as we call it, is so easy to make. Frozen bananas, some
oh yeah.
fruit, a little bit of liquid, sprinkle some, once you've blended it all up, and you maybe put some cinnamon in there or nutmeg, cardamom, and sprinkle some raw organic chocolate nibs, cacao nibs on top, or anything goes. It would
Right.
be so yummy.
You're right. I know, huh? And I do make the banana ice cream, so I need to make that for him. So do you see that comment? Nice job, ladies. I don't allow any animal products in my home. I don't sit at any tables that holds dead animals or their products. I don't go to holiday meals anymore where there are animal products on the table. I'm delighted to serve others vegan, and I frequently do. I'm blessed with a vegan husband. I believe my actions speak louder than words. Yes, your actions do speak louder than words. That's the key right there. And let go of the outcome, and connect with the heart, right? And that's another thing that Melanie Joy also says is, when people say, why are you vegan, don't start listing the don't debate, don't list, because it's better for the animals, it's better for the planet, because of the speak from your heart. Like, why did I go vegan? Because I love animals, and I didn't for many years. Like she also says this, tell them, I used to eat meat for many years, right? So you're getting on their level. I used to eat meat for many years. And then I realized one day, I thought, what am I doing? And I feel so, I mean, I go to animal sanctuaries all the time, and I see little lambs, and I see sheep, and I thought, and one day it just hit, like, what's going on? And then I explored more, and I watched the video, right? All those little moments that were boom, 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 and then and so I watched this video, and that's why it really, and I feel at peace with it, right? And who's going to say that's wrong? Nobody's going to say you're doing the wrong thing when you're speaking from your heart, and that's the key here.
Yes, and first of all, I want to applaud this audience member, and also what I'm reading between the lines with this person is that they have, in essence, taken up the liberation pledge.
Yeah.
Where and you can put it in your search bar, your internet search bar, and look it up, liberation pledge. But some people have taken that pledge where they have decided they will not be present when any animals are being served or used in any form or fashion. So yeah, I applaud this person for doing that.
Yeah, that does work for some people. You're right. And you know what's good about it, though? I mean, you don't have to attend the holiday meal, but you can meet the family afterwards, and that's where sometimes we lose the family. Like, I'm not going to attend the meal, and I'm not going to be with you, but don't go to the meal, but go out to the park later, or, show them that you still love them, that you're not going to be an angry vegan, right? That you are aware that they're on the journey too, so that's a beautiful thing about it. Everybody's got to do ultimately what they can live with, right? I mean, what makes you sleep at night? I mean, what's going to give you peace? If what you're doing brings you peace, then by all means, keep doing it. So, I mean, who am I to say, right? I can say this works, or try this, or let's explore this, and so, yeah, and that's what's beautiful about this process.
Yeah, and if I can, Mariquita, I'd like to read a quote from Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And the quote is a quote, "We are taught you must blame your father, your sisters, your brothers, the school, the teachers, but never blame yourself. It's never your fault, but it's always your fault because if you wanted to change, you're the one who has got to change." Another quote by Rumi: "Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." And so this is the beauty of it too, like not the finger wagging and the finger pointing of wrongdoing and right doing, but meeting people where they are. And then one of my favorite people, Tara Brach, here's a quote: "Forgiving means not pushing anyone or any part of our own being out of our heart. As we bring a full compassionate presence to the wounds that we've been protecting, we release the armoring of hatred and blame that has been imprisoning our heart. We cannot will this process of forgiveness, but we can be willing. It is a challenging and courageous life practice that frees us to love without holding back."
That's
So
beautiful.
I wanted to share those because, they speak to the topic.
They sure do. And this has been a very powerful conversation. I know we're going to have to wrap this up, but yeah, is there anything else you wanted to say? And make sure you tell everybody where they can find you, and go back and put in the comments, your contact information, because the Angel, I was about to call you vegan. Angel is an amazing coach, also, right? The key here is to get help if you need it. If you're struggling, we've done our work and we are here in our coaching programs to help you all. Maybe you want to go with Angel, and that's fine with me. Go, and just get the help you need. We're both here, and that's our mission, is to help empower people. So yeah, go ahead and say what you need to say. And, I'm just very thankful for you, Angel.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mariquita, and thanks to everyone who joined today or on the replay. Thank you so much. You can reach me on Instagram, a yummy vegan. My website is ayummyveganlifestyle.com. I'm on other platforms too, like YouTube and Twitter, and a yummy vegan. So you can just reach me through any of these portals, and I love coaching the world to thrive on plants from head to toe, either while you're at home or you're traveling. You want to go whole food, plant-based, you want to go raw vegan, or a sprinkling of junk food vegan here and there. Whatever you want to do, I'm here to help you. So, and I have a few books on Amazon as well. You can check those out. On Amazon, I'm also a yummy vegan.
And it says, someone's saying YouTube link. You have a YouTube channel. Yeah, you're going
I
to post
do.
all
A
that.
Yummy Vegan. Yeah, A Yummy Vegan also on YouTube. I have over 500 videos so far,
Yes.
including Mariquita.
Well, that's amazing. I'm so thankful for this conversation. And, it's really brought new awareness too. Every time we have these great conversations, we're all learning. We're on this journey of life. So that's why it's so important to just be open to listening to the newness here. You don't have to, like they say in AA, take what you want and leave the rest, So whatever served, we hope, that it's right there in your heart. We did this from love. So thank you, Angel.
Yeah, totally, Mariquita. We're all on this journey together. I love the expression, we're all walking each other home. And that's how I feel. We're all walking each other home. So that's what I would like to say. Thank you so much for inviting me, for, your great energy as well. And thanks for all you're doing. Thank you, Mariquita.
Oh, thank you. And thanks, everyone. And we will see you out there in the social media world. We love you guys.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.